Now at noon, MARTA is close to naming a new permanent CEO and general manager. Now, the transit agency, the 8th largest in the country, will interview 3 finalists on Monday. An agency spokesperson told us that the MARTA board is expected to vote and approve a new GM next Thursday. Jonathan Hunt has been serving as the interim CEO since last August when Collie Greenwald suddenly retired. Atlanta News First broke the news last month that Hunt, who previously said that he was not interested in that permanent role, has indeed applied to stay on.
I'm sure there's a lot of candidates that are interested in the position, and they should be. I am also one of them. And that's all I'll say about that, because I am not in the process, and that is a board decision.
And again, MARTA said that it will name 3 finalists on Monday.